Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Can't let that happen.
Around the nation. Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. We get a show for you. It'll be fun. We have the Durham report. We're going to talk about that. Specifically, the reaction to it. It is a 300-page report that says basically nothing. So, at least nothing that we didn't already know. So, with that, fun. We have fun reactions, including two different reactions, opposite reactions to this from the right wing. You gotta love it. Okay. We have that. We have Rudy Giuliani getting sued by an ex-employee. Very salacious allegations. Ooh. Oh. Does that mean we got a little bit of
Sexual anarchy.
maybe? Maybe. Salacious. Fun. Then we have churches injecting themselves into our political system by literally making donations to politicians. I'm not kidding. This is happening. So, oh boy, not good. Can't they just, keep, politics out of the pulpit and the pulpit out of the politics? I mean, come on. That would be really interesting if they would. But apparently not the case. Not the case. Then we have McCarthy and his work requirements. He just wants everybody to work. Everybody. Even if you can't. Everybody. In order to get any sort of government help. So, really draconian, really BS, horrible stuff that you're going to get angry about. Fun, as usual. All right, so, with that said, we have a church tax, Jeff. We pay the churches, not the other way around. It's funny, like, the churches are tax exempt here, and yet are politicking. Not good. Not good. All right, so we're going to get into that. Fun times, as usual. But we're going to start out with Marsha Blackburn and her response to the Durham report. The hotly, widely anticipated by members of the far right Durham report, which apparently was supposed to, expose the crime of the century. Perpetrated against Donald Trump by the FBI. Someone who is not a fan of the FBI, this should be interesting. Okay. Anyway, so there's that. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. Work requirements without a job guarantee sounds pretty stupid. Agreed. Especially when a certain level of unemployment is considered desirable. Ravaging Wolverine, you've already given it away. Well, one of the major problems here, in the fact that the entire economy is designed in order to have a certain number of people that do not work. We're not designed for full employment. In fact, the Federal Reserve right now is taking steps to try to reduce employment. Because, inflation and all that stuff. Yeah, it's so incredibly ridiculous. But the cruelty is the point, as usual when it comes to Republicans. But again, we're getting ahead of the story here, burying the lead. So we're going to get to that later on in the show. But first, we have, again, Marsha Blackburn being dumb. I know, big surprise. Shocker, but not really shocking. Ugh, coffee. Should cover the overused amount of storms in Tears of the Kingdom. Hey, I'm still early on, okay? I'm still early in that game. Haven't played through a ton of it. Haven't had a lot of time. All right, with that said, let's do it. Senator Marsha Blackburn is not a smart person, and she's going to prove it in this next video.
And now we find out Hillary was the one who was cooking this plan up and then saying it was the Russians and blaming it on Donald Trump when all along it was Hillary Clinton who was close to the Russians.
All along it was Hillary Clinton. You see, when Scooby-Doo and Shaggy went to take that mask off the ghost of Putin or something, it was Hillary Clinton all along. Hillary. Behind everything. That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Even for Marsha Blackburn, this was dumb. This was really dumb. Hillary was cooking. Was it spirit cooking? Oh, yes. That'll get a right-wing reaction. No. Okay, so let me just get this right. So Hillary Clinton somehow has this close relationship with Russia. And so when she ran against Donald Trump in 2016, when the Russian government tried to undermine that election using social media, bots, troll farms, swaying public opinion with disinformation, as well as also politically damaging emails taken from the account of John Podesta and released to WikiLeaks, all while, according to a Senate intelligence report, former President Donald Trump's campaign was having extensive contact with members of the Russian government, Russian billionaires, etc. In fact, that led to an investigation where the FBI indicted at least 12 Russian military agents for interference in the 2016 election. However, somehow, it wasn't Trump at all. This was all the mastermind of Hillary Clinton. She was the one who was colluding with the Russians in order to help her lose her campaign. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would she want to lose a campaign to Trump? Wouldn't the whole point of trying to collude with a foreign government, whatever, to actually win the election? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. At all. This is, help it make sense, people. Help it make sense. Now, look, this is all based, of course, on the Durham probe. Now, this probe showed really nothing that we didn't already know for the last few years. There was already a report from the OIG that came out in 2019 that was issued by the Office of Inspector General, okay? And Inspector General Michael Horowitz had concluded that the FBI properly opened the Russia probe and found no evidence of political bias by the FBI towards or against Donald Trump towards the Clinton campaign. Okay. Now, that said, were there criticisms in the OIG report of the FBI? Absolutely. As someone who's not a fan of the FBI, I can point that out very easily. Now, part of this was how they obtained some of their warrants using the FISA court, which is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Now, after all of that, that report came out and pointed at the missteps of the FBI through this, is like chasing down things like the Salacious Steele dossier, etc. And, maybe, I guess, jumping to conclusions, things like that. The FBI made some changes. So now, in fact, all senior executives overseeing the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, that's what the, Trump-Russia collusion investigation was called, was codenamed. All the senior executives have either left the FBI as a result of termination, resignation, or retirement. So, overall, Durham's findings basically agreed and rehashed Horowitz's findings. Now, of course, he added things, a little bit of flourish, as that was his job, and put, wow, there was a lot of confirmation bias, and they took this information and they, and they treated it as if it could be legitimate information when, and then they ignored the things that were exculpatory towards Donald Trump and all this stuff. Please read it and don't get mad at me. That's basically what it is. Now, look, there's nothing in there about Hillary Clinton colluding with Russia. No definitive proof, anyway. Now, the special counsel was looking into whether any crimes occurred in the handling of an uncorroborated piece of U.S. intelligence indicating Russia knew of a Clinton campaign plan to vilify her opponent, Trump, by tying him to the country. Durham concludes, though, that did not, all things considered, amount to any provable criminal offense. In her interview with Durham's investigators, Clinton called it, quote, really sad, saying, I get it. You have to go down every rabbit hole. It's just really sad, like every single, really, did they, I wouldn't be surprised if they were if people were trying to urge Durham, hey, while you're at it, you should look into Clinton body double. I hear there's some shady stuff going on there. Now, Durham believed that the uncorroborated intelligence should have at least made the FBI question whether it was being used by a political opponent to pursue allegations against the Trump campaign, and concluded that it would be impossible to prosecute anyone for the handling of the intelligence, saying that it amounted to a significant intelligence failure, which we've seen before, but not a crime. I mentioned we've seen that before. What do you think? What do you think the weapons of mass destruction thing was about when it came to Iraq? That was a huge intelligence failure. So it's not like there isn't a history of huge intelligence failures. That said, there were no crimes committed here. No war crimes. Unlike, of course, what happened in Iraq. But also, unlike what happened in the Mueller investigation. When it came to Trump-linked officials, some of them got in trouble. Now, while Mueller ultimately did not establish a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, his report detailed extensive election interference by the Russian government and repeated contacts with Trump-linked officials. So, now, Mueller ended up securing convictions and guilty pleas against 6 Trump associates over the course of his investigation. And following that, in 2020, the Republicans led, this was a GOP-led Senate Intelligence Committee, had reaffirmed the Intelligence Committee's assessment that Russia interfered in the election to help Trump defeat Clinton, not the other way around. Again, it's almost as if Marsha Blackburn is taking what was said in the report and lying about it. Saying, aha, Clinton she was in the cahoots with the Russians the whole time. No, that's not what it said at all. I understand it's 300 pages. That's a long read. Okay? But wow. Taking this and misrepresenting what they were looking into, I don't know. It's low for even for people like Marsha Blackburn, who are just nothing more than political acts. And it's all nothing but massive projection. Okay. Who cares about the Clintons? Believe me, there's nothing more than I would like to never have to talk about Hillary Clinton again. But unfortunately, the right is obsessed with her. They're absolutely obsessed with bringing her up as the boogeyman. So there you are. They know their audience isn't going to read it. True. Very true. All right, let's go to the next one. Good old Steve Bannon. Convicted and pardoned criminal grifter Steve Bannon is very unhappy with the special counsel John Durham's report on the FBI in Russia. Take a look.
And people come to me all the time, Steve, why don't you spend more time on Durham? Why don't you do this? Durham had the, correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but that's the epic failure of Durham. That shows you, when you say the courts, there's got to be some kind of driver prosecuting, there's got to be a prosecutorial attitude in the courts. The courts just aren't going to sit there and just get like gods deem this to be true. You have to bring cases before them. Isn't this the epic failure of, am I missing it? I'm not a lawyer, but isn't this the epic failure of Durham, sir?
Well, yes. Yes, it is. Is it an epic failure, sir? Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, hey, you know what? It depends on what you were looking for, I guess. Did the FBI mess up when it came to the FISA courts? When it came to this investigation? Yeah, sure. I think we can all agree with that. Now, that said, you could definitely point out the failure in any prosecutions. For example, the only two cases that Durham brought to trial resulted in acquittals. Now, he did get a guilty plea, and that was from an FBI attorney that had altered an email used to obtain surveillance warrant for a Trump campaign staffer. So that's the issue here, right? So that's the issue with the FISA court and getting these warrants and stuff. And so, yeah, that's where the FBI absolutely effed up. Since then, though, the FBI changed their policy and the people involved were fired. And we knew all of the failures of the FBI from the 2019 Office of Inspector General report. So again, this is not anything that is new or groundbreaking. In fact, there was nothing new in this report at all. And there it is. Now, when it comes to, I guess, it being a failure or not, well, it wouldn't be in the fact that it largely concluded that the OIG report was correct. There was no criminality involved in this investigation and no evidence of political bias. That said, Durham takes what's in the OIG report and then says, well, I think there was bias there. I still believe that there were bias. Oh, right. Now, look, here's the thing. I don't really care about the FBI's reputation. As a leftist, I never had a high opinion of the FBI. Let's be honest about this, okay? But they did announce that they had made some reforms, and they said that if those reforms had been in place back in 2016, the missteps identified in the report could have been prevented. Okay, fair enough. Now, do you want an intelligence agency that doesn't mess up like this? Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I say they mess up too often. Can go back to Iraq, for example, weapons of mass destruction, and you know, all these different events where the FBI had targeted people that didn't deserve to be targeted. Mainly, again, going after the left and leftists and, you know, anti-capitalists and things like that. Now, that's not what the right wing wants. What does the right wing want? Well, they're going to tell you. I mean, and it's not wanting a better process. It's not wanting better intelligence agencies. It's not wanting corrective actions against agencies when they mess up. No, their overall goal is, are we going to put people in prison?
Well, I don't know how you didn't find this sooner. I mean, I guess that the deep state, may not be cooperative, but John Durham said in his report, he said that, the Justice Department fully cooperated. And so if the Justice Department fully cooperated, how did they not find this sooner? How did they not find this before the statute of limitations?
Where are the charges? Where are the charges? He had all access. He had an unlimited budget. He spent $6 million. He, quote unquote, had Barr's backing. He had 4 years. Where's the beef?
Where is the beef? Well, you can't really have beef if it's a nothing burger. I literally, that's kind of the whole point. When it comes to crime, when it comes to any crime, nothing burger. That's it. If you're someone here that was expecting for Hillary Clinton to go to prison along with everybody in the FBI, just everybody, dismantle it while we're at it. And by the way, I wouldn't be too bothered if we got rid of the FBI, but for different reasons. If you're one of those people who wanted all that stuff, you're going to be a little disappointed. Because none of this will lead to any of that. Again, I'm no fan of the Clinton family. As I said before, I would be totally fine if they completely bowed out of politics to make way for a young, diverse, progressive Democratic Party to take over. That would be wonderful. Not going to happen, but a man could dream. That said, I'm not obsessed with her like the right wing is. And by the way, there are some people that are still obsessed with her on the left. Let it go. Let it go. She's not important anymore. Look, here's the thing. This was never about reforming the intelligence community. This is never about holding them accountable for, some of the methods they've used. Even though we did get some changes when it came to the FISA court, and that's ultimately going to be a good thing. That wasn't the point. Durham's job was simply to investigate the investigators on behalf of Donald Trump in the hopes of finding someone, a political enemy of the Trumps, to lock up. And that is exactly why it is an epic fail. Steve Bannon did not get what he wanted, and neither did all the right-wingers who were breathlessly waiting with anticipation for this report to come out so they could finally lock her up, lock her. Oh, God damn it, not again. She gets away again. Never gonna happen, guys. It's a fever dream. Let it go. Get back to reality. Okay. Hi, people. Okay. Sick of working Hillary. She's done in politics. Yeah, good. Again, relic of an earlier age, And again, the Clinton administration brought a lot of negative things. When a Democrat comes out and says, well, the era of, big government is over. Uh-oh. And you had things like the crime bill. And you had all this stuff. Oof, not good. Not good at all. But anyway, really my big problem with that time is it really showed the, solidified, I should say, the corporatization of the Democratic Party and how they leaned into corporate donors. But that's just, again, me, criticism from the left. What are you going to do? Okay. Anywho, all that lock her up chance sure did backfire, especially since it was Donald Trump that was arrested, albeit on something that was unrelated, but arrested nonetheless. Who knew? Okay, so let's go to Rudy Giuliani. What? Yeah, I get to break that out. Also, I have something else. Where is it, though?
I have not loved this conversation.
There we go. All right. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City, as well as former Trump attorney, is being sued. That's right, going back to court. And this person who's suing him is a former employee. And the allegations that she makes are pretty both serious and salacious. So now, this is a 70-page complaint filed in New York by 43-year-old Noel Dunphy. So she's asking for $10 million worth of damages and unpaid wages. So let's get to her complaint. According to this, again, New York State Court filed legal complaint, Ms. Dunphy was hired as Rudy Giuliani's Director of Business Development and Public Relations Consultant. However, that's apparently not the job he had in mind for Ms. Dunphy, allegedly. So now she began to work for Mr. Giuliani in January 2019 for a salary of $1 million a year. Wow. Well, that's, damn, I'd do that. $1 million a year. Well, maybe not for Rudy Giuliani, but you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody willing to pay you that much. But if, allegedly there is a reason, and that basically, we're going to go to it.
Sexual anarchy.
That's what he had in mind. Okay. Again, this is all according to this complaint. Now, she began working for Giuliani in 2019 and stopped working for him in 2021 over what she had referred to as wide-ranging sexual assault and harassment, as well as, of course, unpaid wages, terrible working conditions, etc. So now, she said that the abuse began on the first day with him allegedly kissing her in the back of an SUV. Wow. She also said that Mr. Giuliani often demanded that she had worked naked, in a bikini or in short shorts with the American flag that he bought for her. Hey, isn't that an abuse of the flag code? Just saying. Like, I thought you're supposed to respect the flag, not put them in Daisy Dukes. And also not try to force your employee to wear the Daisy Dukes. But he's like, hey, what do you mean? At least I'm asking you to wear something. Not the point, Rudy. Not the point. Now, she also alleged that Giuliani would take Viagra constantly, and that she had worked under the constant threat that Giuliani might demand sex from her at any moment. And she said in the times, apparently, where he had coerced her. So that's not exactly consensual, which would be rape. Now, of course, a court would have to go through that and litigate that claim. But generally, if you're coercing somebody into having sexual relations and it's not consensual, that would be rape or sexual assault. So now, he also would allegedly ask her during video conferences when they would work remotely to do presentations in the buff, to remove her clothes on camera. So that's apparently a trend there. And one specific example of other forms of harassment that were detailed here is when he was doing public phone calls with friends, including the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. Here's what she said in the allegations, quote, he often demanded oral sex while he took phone calls on speakerphone from high-profile friends and clients, including then President Donald Trump. Giuliani told apparently Ms. Dunphy that he had enjoyed engaging in this conduct while on the phone because it made him feel like, quote-unquote, Bill Clinton. Wow. Hey, you know one of the main reasons that both the right and the left despise former President Bill Clinton? You know, that thing that he did with an intern, a young intern. Now, of course, the right and left both hate that for different reasons. Giuliani, though, looks at it and says, I want to do that. I want that. Let's do the thing that we criticized Bill Clinton for. Yeah, I want to do that. Now, look, why does the left hate Bill Clinton for that? Well, it's because he used power and authority to coerce a young intern into doing sexual favors for him. Again, because he was literally the president of the United States, so it was very coercive, and it was wrong. And then afterwards, he allowed her to suffer abuse and harassment for decades. Not a good thing. A terrible thing. Now, the right, of course, claims to hate it because, and I say it's claims, because obviously, according to the allegations, Giuliani actually kind of a fan, kind of an admirer of all this stuff. Now, the right says they claim to hate it because, well, it wasn't moral. Bill Clinton, he was cheating on poor Hillary. We're just looking out for Hillary, who we also hate and think is dead and replaced by a body double, and also eats children, drinks their blood, and does satanic rituals, and is a pedophile. Huh. Now, apparently they were so incensed by it, the lack of morality, that they impeached him for it. And the person who led that impeachment effort was Newt Gingrich, who, by the way, had sex with what would become his next wife, while his wife at the time was dying in the hospital of cancer. But please tell me about morality, right-wingers. Please do it. Nah, Rudy's like, oh, no, I want to get the BJ on the phone. Hell yeah, well, it would be just like Bill Clinton. Now, she also, I guess, gives him a little bit of an excuse, which it's not really an excuse. And I'm only interpreting it as that, because Giuliani, she said, was constantly drunk, like blasted out of his gourd. She said that he would go on, quote unquote, alcohol-drenched rants that included sexist, racist, and anti-Semitic remarks, and had made her work environment, quote unquote, unbearable. Wow. Now, look, that part would be probably the least surprising thing about this. You would think that it's pretty much common knowledge here that Rudy Giuliani's liver probably looks like Swiss cheese. So much cirrhosis going on here. Unbelievable levels of cirrhosis. Tremendous cirrhosis. I don't know why I'm making a joke of that, but, I probably shouldn't.
Can't let that happen.
But I did.
Where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
But in this case, it's, like scotch. Okay. But anyway. There's a lot more. So let's move forward, right? She said that he drank morning, noon, and night and was frequently intoxicated, and therefore his behavior was always unpredictable. But it wasn't his sexual harassment and him being drunk all the time. There's more wage theft. She is accusing him of wage theft. Ms. Dunphy claims that she was told by Mr. Giuliani that her salary, which was, again, supposed to be $1 million a year for enduring these horrible conditions, okay, only until the end of a divorce that he was going through. Gee, Rudy, why are you going under, why are you having a divorce there? Maybe it might have possibly something to do with a little bit of
sexual anarchy
going on here. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I have no idea why she would, ever leave me. I don't get it. Okay. I know. She, apparently, Giuliani had only paid her $12,000. She was owed $1,988,000. So, yeah, a couple years of work. Only getting paid $12,000. That's terrible. Wow. Just wow. She also alleged that Mr. Giuliani reneged on a promise to give her free legal representation in a separate domestic violence legal case. So, wow. First of all, oh, don't worry, baby. I can represent you. You're one of America's worst lawyers. Why would you want that? Do you want me to lose this case? Is that what you want? Do you want me to just lose everything? Because that's what would happen if you represent me. No, just give me the money. Like, give me what you promised me for working for you for 2 years. Pay up, dude. Wow. Just wow. Okay. So now, here's the thing too. He couldn't represent her in New York if he wanted to. He has no license to practice law. And that's because it was taken away from him because of some of the other allegations. Ms. Dunphy alleged that Mr. Giuliani claimed to have immunity and told her that he was selling pardons for $2 million, which he and President Trump would split. That complaint also alleges that Lev Parnas, a Giuliani associate previously convicted for fraud, was present for that conversation. Interesting. Now, the lawsuit does not suggest any pardons were, in fact, sold because, I mean, that would be pretty easy to track, wouldn't it? And pretty illegal. Dunphy also alleged that the former New York mayor previewed plans to attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election if Mr. Trump lost. Mr. Giuliani told her that Trump's team would claim that there was voter fraud and that Mr. Trump had actually won the election, which is exactly what happened, of course. So, look, all of this is pretty serious stuff. But the big question is here, well, do you have any evidence? Well, it turns out she claims that she had recordings of numerous interactions with Rudy Giuliani. So if you've got recordings of him saying some of these things, well, that's very interesting. That's going to be definitive, especially if she has anything relating to the charges against Trump and Giuliani. Remember, Giuliani is being investigated right now for him and his team trying to overturn the Georgia election results in the 2020 presidential election. But even if she doesn't have that, all this other stuff is pretty damning, pretty awful. Constant sexual harassment. So, now, there's more. Giuliani also reportedly had told Dunphy not to speak with the FBI in relation to, some of this election stuff. When she told Giuliani that FBI agents had visited her family's home in Florida looking to question her, he had demanded she not speak to or cooperate with them. Oh, is that obstruction? Are you obstruction? Are you doing obstruction? Are you trying to obstruct justice, guys? Giuliani, really? Because that's what that is. That's what that is. She said, she claimed that he said that the one or two agents that had visited her home were, quote, going to get totally destroyed. Oh, yeah, you're going to get destroyed. Owned with facts and logic. Wait. No, this isn't a Ben Shapiro YouTube video. I don't know what he means by destroyed, but it doesn't sound good. Sounds a little threatening. Just saying. Now, that said, I'm going to give Giuliani's side of the story in a statement from a representative for Mr. Giuliani. Said that he, quote, vehemently and completely denies the allegations in the complaint and plans to thoroughly defend against these allegations. This is pure harassment and an attempt at extortion. The representative added, Mayor Giuliani's lifetime of public service, funny, speaks for itself, and he will pursue all available remedies and counterclaims. He categorically denies all of the allegations of this frivolous complaint. He also, a lawyer for Mr. Giuliani, also denied that Ms. Dunphy had ever worked for him, and that this is nothing more than, a politically motivated hit job. Interesting. Now, as far as Giuliani, he's not gone on the record. that as far as I know.
I have not loved this conversation.
But yeah, that's probably what he would say if asked questions. But look, we're going to have to see what happens. This is not a criminal complaint, by the way. There's a possibility that this may never get to a court. But if she does have recordings of him saying some of this stuff, ooh, that's going to be very interesting. And we'll see. We'll see if Giuliani plans to settle, if she does indeed have these recordings. Should be fun. Should be fun. Okay. Settle with what? Oh, well, maybe he can do some more, what was it? Cameos. Cameos. See if he does the I don't know her Donald defense. Oh, interesting. All right. Let's go to religion and politics. Religious institutions are not supposed to engage in political activity, which includes donations, obviously. Look, it's for that reason the U.S. government gives churches tax-exempt status so that they stay out of political campaigns. However, according to a new ProPublica report, along with the Texas Tribune, in Texas, and probably many other places, but definitively in Texas, there are churches out there that are engaging in political activity, again, including donations. Now, the Texas Tribune and ProPublica in their report looked at a recent election in West Texas. Now, in this election, it was Republicans versus Republicans. Okay, so you had pro-business, pro-corporate, establishment Republicans versus the very right-wing fundamentalist Republicans. And these religious conservatives actually ended up losing by quite a bit. Now, these very conservative Christian candidates who did campaign on putting more religion in government were rejected, but those candidates were also heavily backed by local area churches. In fact, on May 5th, the day before the election, these churches had donated a total of $800 to the campaign of one Scott Beard. Scott Beard is a pastor who was running for city council. So now, in violation of the Johnson Amendment, a law passed in 1954 by Congress prohibiting nonprofits from intervening in political campaigns, these churches had violated that amendment by engaging again in politicking, political donations. So that's not a good thing. Now, Beard, a senior pastor at Fountain Gate Fellowship, said the donations were a mistake. Oh, they mistakenly gave me $800. I will return their money. Oh, really? Okay. Now, Beard said via text message after the election that the money paid by the churches was only intended to cover the cost of meals at one of his fundraisers, which you were having at a church. He said he returned the money and is in the process of amending his campaign finance reports, which apparently had some other issues. Now, Dewey Hall, the pastor of Fountain Gate Merkle Church, which is nearly 18 miles west of Abilene, Texas, and not affiliated with Beard's church, told ProPublica that the Tribune before the election that Beard had told him that his church couldn't give Beard's campaign a $200 donation. Even though Hall said that Beard would be a good councilman. We need to have Christians in politics nowadays. Wait, we do have Christians in politics. They're just not allowed to implement Christian theocracy. Now, I'll tell you, by the way, the kind of councilman that he would be based on some of his policy positions, which were not very popular. Now, a representative of Remnant Church, which Beard reported gave him $400, responded to a question via Facebook to say that its donation was intended for Fountain Gate Fellowship Church, not for Beard's campaign. Then how did it end up in his campaign? Well, that's really weird. They're supposed to be separate. They're supposed to be his campaign, and then there's supposed to be the church funding. You're supposed to keep them in separate buckets. If you start using church funding to pay for your campaign, that is illegal. You cannot do that. Big problem. Now, the representative said, "Oh, they must have made a mistake. We'll look into it." When asked who they were, what their name was, to identify themselves, they did not. They just did not. Neither Whole nor Remnant Church responded to additional questions after the election, and so they just kind of want to sweep this thing, under the rug. Also adding,
I have not loved this conversation.
Not interested. Not interested. I did not love this. Not going to talk to this. Now, Bruce Tenser, pastor of Hope Chapel Foursquare Church, known as Hope for Life Church, said the $200 Beard's campaign filing listed as having come from his church was an appreciation gift for Tenser that he used to pay for meals at Beard's fundraiser for himself, another pastor, and their wives. Quote, obviously, had I known that it would be considered a campaign contribution, I would have not paid with the check. This is not some dark conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, I swear. Really? Now that I'm in trouble for it? Or could be?
My.
Is it though? I pray Mayor-elect Weldon all the best as the newly elected council. Well, again, because he had backed the losing side. But hey, we never meant to give the money. I never meant to get the money. No. I don't believe that. I believe you never meant to get caught. According to this investigative report, which again, ProPublica is doing some really good work. They're dropping some really, really important stories along with Texas Tribune. It's an excellent match. Journalism still exists. According to the report, Beard has had at least 2 pending state ethics complaints filed against his campaign. One comes from former Dyess Air Force Base Commander Michael Bob Starr, who alleges that Beard left in-kind donations from his own church, a nonprofit corporation, off of his campaign finance report. So he's like, no, this guy's using his church money to fund his campaign. And you're not obviously recording it, which is what? Fraud. It's fraud. You're leaving these off of the report and funding your campaign through your own nonprofit organization, religious nonprofit organization that gets tax breaks from the government. That's a pretty serious allegation. Now, another one, different complaint, comes from Abilene attorney Kristen Postal, who alleges that Beard's campaign finance reports were also incomplete, incorrect, and showed that he had accepted an anonymous donation. That said, Beard, in an interview, acknowledged the existence of complaints and said, "We made some errors. Oopsie. What are you going to do? We messed up on our campaign reports. So we're just going to go back and we're going to amend those. And, we're going to fix it. Don't worry. Gee, I wonder how that's going to turn out. Here's what he said, by the way. We're amending those and we're going to resubmit them, and then we'll just have to deal with whatever. If there's financial penalties or whatever, we'll just have to pay them and learn a lesson from it. Well, that's not the lesson that you're ultimately going to learn from my experience. The lesson is, don't get caught. That's his lesson. All right. Now, both Starr and Postal say they plan to file additional state ethics complaints against Beard's campaign for accepting donations from the churches, which are, again, all supposed to be nonprofit corporations in Texas. Now, if it were just the donations too, that's bad enough. But there's more. It turns out they received free advertising from the churches by allowing these campaign signs to be put on church grounds. So for me, that seems like it's an in-kind donation from the church because you were essentially advertising. That's political ad spending, or the equivalent of. I mean, seems like that could be a little bit of an issue. At least 5 churches displayed campaign signs for Beard and 2 other Abilene candidates, Ryan Goodwin, who unsuccessfully ran for mayor, and James Sargent, an unsuccessful city council candidate. The 3 candidates touted their involvement in an effort, and this is, by the way, what they why apparently the churches are supporting them. They were involved in an effort to get abortion outlawed in Abilene specifically. Now remember, this is Texas that already has incredibly draconian anti-abortion measures, but Abilene, they wanted to go further. And they ended up working with Texas Right to Life, an anti-choice group, collecting thousands of signatures to bring the ordinance to a council vote. Abilene's ordinance, which passed, went even further than Texas's already draconian state laws, making it a crime to assist a city resident in getting an abortion. So now, criminalizing someone who helps them, even outside of Texas. So you can leave Abilene and you can leave the state, and still they're going to want you to, be criminalized, be punished for helping someone to get an abortion. That's ridiculous. What happened to interstate commerce? And of course, it also expands who can potentially face lawsuits relating to aiding or abetting a prohibited abortion. Other things that they had also pushed, along with these massively anti-choice, anti-freedom measures, are book bans dealing with LGBTQ plus books and bans on drag shows, because of course. These are the issues that are being pushed by these would-be politicians, and they're very prevalent in right-wing churches. And now, funny enough, coincidence, these churches getting caught funding these very same would-be politicians that were also, at least one of them, was a pastor. This is not a coincidence. This is it's not an accident. This is part of a concerted effort to make this country into a Christian nation. We are not a Christian nation. We're a secular nation. We have the First Amendment, the freedom of religion, but we also have a freedom from religion and a wall of separation between church and state. This is something that these kinds of people do not believe in. Christian nationalists want to tear down that particular wall. They want to build other walls, ironically, on the southern border, but apparently tear down the wall between church and state so that the church will run the government and run people's lives. That's what it is. Let's be honest. Their plan involves taking over local offices, running in local elections, running in school boards, winning on those, getting various state level positions as well as national positions. Oh, and of course the courts. And again, the goal here, as I mentioned, destroy the separation of church and state, destroy the First Amendment as it exists, so that we would become a theocracy under one brand of Christianity. Remember, there's a lot of different denominations here in Christianity alone. Who decides which one is dominant? Which one reigns supreme? No, something like this, turning the United States into a theocracy, a Christian theocracy, will just rip the country apart. And if you're in support of that goal, then that's what you're going to get. Because the country will tear itself apart on sectarian religious lines. With a very, very small minority of extremists like this. No, the reason that we have a separation of church and state, again, is so that the government doesn't run the church, because nobody would like that, and the church doesn't run the government. It's as much to protect religion, the freedom of religion, as to protect everyone else from one particular brand of religion. But they don't see it that way. After the election, Beard returned to his pulpit and said, well, you got to get more involved in politics. You need to look for ways to influence the city outside of the church. Quote, in a world that's grown kind of increasingly more hostile towards the church, I'm all the more motivated and really challenged to continue building here at Fountain Gate a healthy and dynamic local church that not only impacts its community, but impacts its state, its nation, and the nations of the world. Now, look, we're not hostile to the church. What we're hostile to is the church trying to control other people. Look, if you're a religious person, you want to live by these rules, that's totally fine. Like, nobody's preventing you from living your life. If you don't like abortion, you don't get one. If you don't like, drag shows, don't watch one. I mean, it's pretty simple. You don't want to read an LGBTQ plus book or a book about racism? Don't read it. Don't read it. You have these choices. You don't want to watch woke Hollywood shows? Then don't watch them. Don't.
The wokers.
You don't have the right to control everybody else's life. And that's ultimately what they're trying to do. What they're trying to accomplish is the ability to use the government to impress their political, religious values onto you. Again, nobody cares about your religion. Nobody cares about what you do in the privacy of your own home with your own family, in your own life. Nobody cares. Believe what you want, do what you want, as long as it doesn't harm another person. But you try to control us, then yeah. And that's the reason so many people are angry at the church now, is because they keep trying to control our lives. Keep your own religion to yourself and in your churches. That's why you get tax-exempt status. But if you keep pushing this, then you should absolutely, all the churches should absolutely 100% lose that tax-exempt status. Because obviously, they're not holding up their end of the agreement. You want to be in politics? Okay, pay to play, bitch. Pay to play. Okay. I do not have time to do the McCarthy story. I'll do that tomorrow. So, damn. Took too long. There's nothing wrong with drag shows. Yeah, I know. Tell them that. Maybe you are, though. Okay, so let's see. Let's go and thank some members on YouTube, all that wonderful stuff. There. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the 3 gifted memberships. Everybody, thank Gabby for the gifted membership, supporting the show. Thank you. And I appreciate your support and you helping people with their memberships. I really appreciate that. Jonathan Leiter, also thank you for gifting a membership on YouTube. Appreciate that. It's awesome. Thank you. Let's go to, let's see. Rialan86, thank you for resubbing for a month to tier 1 for 17 months. I love this. Let's see.
Give me a break.
Please clap. I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
There you go. And yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate the bits as well. The 100 biddies from Rialan86. So thank you on Twitch. Thank you to the Facebook audience as well for chiming in. All that wonderful stuff. Let's see. Yep, Fake Christians. for sure. All right. Okay. Thank you all. We're gonna raid Twitch raid into Frinfio. So everybody check that out. Everyone else, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Thank you all. Love you, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.
Amazing.
Beta! Beta male! How you like that, boy?
Sexual anarchy.
Woke mob.
Just forget about the evidence.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Disappointed.